It is Tuesday, March 21st, and this is your Morning Mud. This episode is brought to you by Mudwater. Mudwater is a coffee alternative as well as the most aptly named sponsor for this show ever, with 1/7 of the caffeine as a regular cup of coffee. It's made with masala chai, cacao, mushrooms, turmeric, sea salt, cinnamon, and that is it. And I know what you're thinking, Matt. You are somebody who loves caffeine. Why would you be hawking for a company that is advertising less caffeine? And that's because it worked. It's true. I love caffeine. I used to drink 2 energy drinks a day, and now I might have one a week. All thanks to Mudwater. If you or someone you love might want to make the switch to Mudwater, all you have to do is head on over to muddiedwatersoffreedom.com/mud to make the switch today. Good morning, everyone. I am Matt Wright, editor-in-chief of Muddied Waters Media, here to bring you all of the news that has been going on in the last 24 hours or so. Starting off by stuff that happened over the weekend. Now, over the weekend in France, protests broke out, and these grew to massive heights. And these protesters clashed with police in central Paris over the French government's pension reforms. Now, thousands of demonstrators marched on Paris and lit fires and threw firecrackers at police, and tear gas was being used to disperse the crowds of people, the throngs of people. And this was the second night that this had been going on since President Emanuel Macron decided that he was going to unilaterally push through controversial reforms in order to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64 without a vote. That's weird to think about because, the Social Security debate going on in America versus the 62 to 64 going on in France. But this was seen as a authoritarian move by President Macron, and people were not happy. So no confidence motions were filed against Macron and his government in response to these moves. Now, the first was signed by independents and members of the left-wing Noops coalition in Parliament, while the second came from the right-wing National Rally Party, which is led by Marine Le Pen, who lost a very close election to Macron earlier in this cycle. So dozens of people ended up getting arrested. Then, today, even though there were multiple no confidence votes on the table, the French government narrowly survived the vote of no confidence, which was triggered because of all of the pension age shenanery, raising it to 64 from 62. The vote, tabled by centrist MPs, had 278 votes in favor of a no confidence vote, falling short of the 287 votes that were needed. Now, had it been successful, Macron would have had to name a new government or call for new elections. The second no confidence motion, which was tabled by Marine Le Pen, did not pass. Now, since both votes failed, the move to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64 becomes law. And I like to look at this and think, man, that is a weird way to do governing. I don't like what this guy did. We're just going to do a vote of no confidence. And then I thought, that's probably a great way to do it. Anytime that the prime minister does something that you don't like, you just say, nah, I disagree with this. No confidence. Let's see if we can get him to have to do to create a new government right here because we don't like what he's doing, as opposed to we don't like what he's doing, but we're stuck with him for 2 more years, or we have to try to find something that he's done that is illegal. So that's going on over there. The retirement age in France is now 64 years old because Emmanuel Macron has decided that that's what it should be. It's a crazy system that they got going on over there. But, hey, it seems to be working for them if you like to watch cities burn. For anybody out there who is a baseball fan, like I am, the World Baseball Classic is happening as we speak. And on Sunday night, the United States beat Cuba 14-2 to advance to the finals for the second World Baseball Classic in a row. But that's not really the story. The game was going on in Miami. And the Cuban bullpen catcher, so he's somebody who can play baseball. For anybody who doesn't know, and I hate explaining it like this, he's somebody who is good at baseball, better than me, better than most people out there in the world, but he's not somebody that is playing professionally. Instead, he helps warm up the pitchers in the bullpen. He's just a catcher that's back there. Not to diminish any accomplishment that he's having. But the bullpen catcher, Ivan Prieto, didn't get on the plane to fly back to Cuba yesterday. Instead, he stayed in Miami. Now, the details of his whereabouts and whether he was picked up by family at his hotel or any other number of scenarios remain completely unclear. But what they know is that he just simply didn't show up at a Miami International Airport for the team's flight to Havana. Now, some people are wondering what made it where Prieto chose to defect. And some people think that it's because he's trying to pursue a career in the Major League Baseball. But others, I would think, correctly assume that it is more to do with the fact that he wanted to leave Cuba. We'll be right back after these commercials.
I don't know what goes into paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. I can't speak to that. But what I can speak to is that if you have a prosecutor who is ignoring crimes happening every single day in his jurisdiction, and he chooses to go back many, many years ago to try to use something about porn star hush money payments, that's an example of pursuing a political agenda and weaponizing the office.
Welcome back, everybody. That was Florida Governor Ron DeSantis taking his best shots at Donald Trump over everything that's going on in New York. With the possible indictment and potential arrest that could be coming later this week. Initially, as we reported yesterday, Trump was saying that he was going to be arrested on Tuesday. It does not look like that's going to happen. There was still another witness that was going to be testifying. So it seems like what he probably heard was the earliest this could happen was Tuesday. So we have to wait for the grand jury to make their decision on whether or not this is a crime that he should be arrested for. And then they have to they have to look at whether or not this is a crime he should be arrested for. And then they're going to have the other issues of, since this payment happened in 2016 and we are now living in 2023, 7 years later, that the 7 years later, 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 7 years later The statute of limitations on a misdemeanor is 2 years in New York and 5 years on a felony, and both of these things have surpassed that. So they have to tie it to federal election law in some way, some shape, somehow. Whether or not they're going to be able to do that is kind of questionable, but they're going to try. They're definitely going to try, but that's not going to stop Ron DeSantis and other people from getting pot shots in here and there. And honestly, that is probably the best way he can go about it, by claiming some sort of ignorance on, I would have no idea how to do this, while saying, but I can tell you about what it's like dealing with prosecutors. And of course, Donald Trump did not take this in the lighthearted way that Donald Trump would take something along these lines, because he's Donald Trump. And anytime somebody gets a shot in at him, he has to come back stronger, harder, faster. So in response to what Ron DeSantis said, Trump replied with, Ron DeSanctimonious will probably find out about false accusations and fake stories sometime in the future as he gets older, wiser, and better known, when he's unfairly and illegally attacked by a woman, even classmates that are underage or possibly a man. I am sure he will want to fight these misfits just like I do. And for it being this early in the primary season, I think only 3 people have officially said that they're running. A couple other people are saying, yeah, I might run, who knows. But for it being this early in the primary season with Ron DeSantis, I almost called him DeSanctus, Ron DeSantis not even officially saying that he is going to be running, it kind of goes a lot to show where Trump's mindset is on this. He knows that Ron DeSantis is his biggest competition and needs to take him out, and he needs to take him out quickly. But DeSantis is actually playing this exceptionally well. He hasn't actually mentioned Trump by name that I can recall anyway. Anytime something's brought up, he goes, oh, I'm not concerned with that. I'm busy doing this. I just won an election, so I have to take care of my state. Like, he gets his shots in. Now, as far as what's going on in New York, the AG has stated that he will not be bullied or intimidated by Trump calling for protests. And the NYPD has put up barricades outside of the courthouse to be there just in case that protests or riots break out whenever this decision comes through. Whether or not this decision lands in Trump's favor or against Trump's favor, things are going to happen. I think that the left is expecting it to happen at this point. And a lot of the reason they're expecting it to happen at this point is because Trump has come out and stated that, yes, he's going to be arrested on Tuesday. But not so much. But the right is saying this doesn't make sense because statute of limitations, and how does this tie to election law? And personally, the man gave this woman money to keep her from speaking about not getting on to The Apprentice, because she says that she slept with him in order to get on The Apprentice, and he says no, that never happened. So he gave her some hush money, and technically not illegal. The only thing that would have made it illegal is if it was tied to campaign finance funds. But since he was cleared of that in 2019, he beat her in a lawsuit. I don't understand what this is doing. And they were saying that this was like the zombie case. It was such a cold case, and somehow it got brought back to life. So I have no idea what the plan is with this. I don't know how they plan on I don't know how they plan on actually trying this and having it go to court and saying this is the reason that it, even though it is past the statute of limitations, this is the reason that we are now doing this. But that is the plan. That's it. That is apparently the plan that they are going with. I don't know. We will have to find out that together. I think kind of the thing is that I think what the goal is that they're going to try to get one indictment, that they're going to try to get him arrested. They're going to try to get him where he gets mugshot and fingerprinted, so that way that will run on every political ad for the Democrats from here until 2028 or longer. Um, and I think that is what they want. And then other indictments can start following. The Georgia indictment on whether or not he was involved in election fraud, or and like where he tried to convince them to overturn the election in Georgia. That one's going to come down to whether or not people say Trump was just being Trump when he said, "I need you to find me 11,000 votes. It's just 11,000 votes. Find me 11,000 votes." Or whether he was saying, "I need you to go out there and find 11,000 votes. I don't care where they come from. Find them." So it kind of depends if Trump was just kind of being Trumpy or if you thought he was like, so it's going to depend on whether or not the people in Georgia that are sitting in that grand jury decide whether or not what he said was him just kind of shooting at the hip or whether he was asking for something nefarious. This one was the least probable thing for him to get indicted on. And some reason it is the one that looks like it could possibly be it, but it also could be that Trump was just shooting from the hip because he heard, yeah, the earliest, if this thing even goes through, is going to be Tuesday. And your former lawyer that everybody trusts and loves, Michael Cohen, said that this is pretty much a slam dunk. But Michael Cohen, as we all know, is a terrible attorney, and for good measure made this deal in order to not be in jail anymore. So he, of course, he's going to say this is a slam dunk, but does he know what the statute of limitations is in New York? Because like I did, but I'm not a fixer. Um, I'm not a fixer, so we're gonna have to wait to see. Let me know what you guys think on what's gonna happen next, and what will. The more interesting thing about this entire thing is the battle going on between Trump and DeSantis, and I'm here, like I'm here for it. So I hope all of you are here for it, and we're gonna keep going because that is the most entertaining thing going on in the world right now, even with the World Baseball Classic happening. So I will see you all tomorrow. That is the episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you enjoy what is happening here at Muddied Waters Media, I ask you to do a couple of simple favors for us. Please, whatever podcasting platform you are listening to us on, give us a 5-star review. Also, leave a review. And the biggest way that you can help is by sharing this episode with your friends. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will see you again very soon. And remember, where we're going, we don't need roads.